Hello, welcome back to Addicted to Recovery, the podcast bringing you the truth about addiction. My name's Christopher White. I'm joined as ever by my dear friend, co-host and fellow recovering addict, Max Thomas. Max, who have we got with us today?
We have got our mate and fellow recovering addict, Mari. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, we're good. Thanks, mate. Thanks
Good
for coming
to see
down.
you, Mari.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in, mate. Look, Mari, you're just ahead of me, about 6 months in front of me, right? Just over 4 years?
February, yeah.
There you go. I remember when I was in treatment, you come and done a H&I share over Zoom, so you might not have known I was in the room, but I remember you because I'd been to 1 or 2 meetings before. I think I saw you at the Vange meeting, and I was like, oh, brilliant, she's still got it, because I was out there messing around for however long I was. And yeah, look, you've got, I know you come in young, and you've just got a really sort of attractive program. You know what I mean? I know there's a lot of young girls come in and they look up to you. I know you're sponsoring a lot of people, so we had to get you on. So thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah, I was at your first meeting, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I was doing tea and coffee, Chris, and early on in my recovery, really, but just all over the service back then. And, yeah, Mari turned up and she didn't look like she does today.
Yeah.
Like when we all come in, we all look differently, don't we? And yeah, it's I wronged you on a previous podcast, right? Because I said you had 3 years clean, but you've actually got 4 years clean, right?
I know.
Yeah. Took a year off me.
Yeah, it's out of order.
Yeah, tell us, when did you come in? Because you are young, and that's one of the reasons we did want to get you in, because we want to show, we get listeners from all walks of life, all ages, all sexes, all religions, and we wanted a younger guest to come on and share their story, because it's never too early to come into recovery. No. That's the message, isn't it? So yeah. Tell us about how you came in, and we can go from there, if that's all right.
I was 23 when I come in. And I think it was a series of events that got me here into that first meeting where I saw you.
Yep.
And I tend to sort of go backwards from that point.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because it's easier for me to sort of explain. So about, I think it was maybe in the January.
Yep.
My sister had tried to take her own life.
Mm-hmm.
She ended up in the hospital in Whitechapel, in the Royal London Hospital, and I think it was either December or January, and obviously I came in February, and she hung herself.
Right.
And she succeeded. Like, she was found unresponsive in her room. She lived in social housing, and
Jesus.
I had no phone. Like, the phone that I had, it was cut off. The screen was smashed. Like, and I worked in a pub and a club.
Yep.
At that time, in 2020, and I had to go into work to make a phone call because she tried calling me and she sent me a message, and I was like, something doesn't feel right. And so I went into work and I made so many phone calls because she was in like a care outreach place.
Yep.
And I've eventually got through to where she was, and they told me she was found unresponsive. She's in the Royal London Hospital. So I went up there, and the reason I didn't answer the phone or get that message is, one, because my phone wasn't working and I was using an old phone that I had no way of contacting anyone. It was just by Wi-Fi.
Yep.
Got the messages and couldn't do anything about it. And even if I had got the messages, if I had a phone to be able to receive them, I wouldn't have, because I can't even remember what I was doing. I was either sleeping off a come down or I was still on it.
Yeah.
And I made the whole thing about me. Made it all about me. Like, going up there, getting the train, going into the pub where I worked and getting bladdered because I didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, drama, yeah?
Yeah. And that was one thing that pushed me. Before that, so if I go back, I grew up with my nan and granddad.
Yep.
Because my mum's really unwell, paranoid schizophrenic.
Okay.
And she was in and out of institutions all my life. And, you know, I grew up going in and out of the mental health unit where I live, and staff see me grow up.
Yeah.
They see me grow up.
So you were going in there to see your mum, basically, yeah?
And for some reason, like, in those facilities or those institutions, if you're under the age of 18, you're supervised by an adult, and even if you were supervised by an adult, you have to go into the family rooms, like the visits are arranged.
Just for safety and stuff, yeah?
Yeah. Just because it's not a pleasant place for a child. And this is from as long as I can remember. Like, I remember thinking, oh, was she missing birthdays? Like, just pining for her, like, thinking
Yeah,
that
of course.
it's
You're just a kid, Murray. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You want your
like,
mum.
Those mother wounds, they're so painful. And I didn't really have an understanding of it at that age.
How old are you when you're making these visits?
I think there was a point, I think they started when I was about 8,
Okay.
9. And I remember going into the family room once, and I just don't think it worked. So for some reason, my nan made an agreement with the unit for me to go into the ward.
Right.
Because my nan was there with me.
Yep.
So I had like this. I knew it used to freak me out, but I didn't really start getting some sort of consciousness around it until about the age of 11.
Just like an uneasy feeling.
When you're early on in being a kid, it's probably you just take it.
It's all
in
feelings,
stride,
isn't it? You don't know what it is, but you feel something's off.
Yeah. And I remember that it's got this vivid memory of this woman, and it actually turned out that this woman was the mum of someone that I went to school with.
Right.
And for the first time, I remember thinking, you know how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's giving me 20p's.
Right.
But I used to be petrified of her. I used to look up at her like, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously you get a consciousness of, this is not a nice place to be.
No.
Like, and then comes the maturity at a young age of like.
And seeing your mum in a fragile state must have been quite hard, right?
I don't even know if I'd call it. I don't even know I was aware of that.
Right. Okay.
Like, no one ever explained to me she's not well. The only person that explained that to me was a caseworker.
Right.
You know, and then eventually, as the years got like on, and I got a little bit older, I started to understand it a little bit more. Like Googling it, like what it must be.
Yeah, but it's something
like.
you had to find out for yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think that's right, do you?
No.
Nah, I feel like there's got to be. I wonder if it's different now. Maybe.
I think there's not as much stigma around it, and there's a lot of mental health conditions that are spoken about a bit more. I know schizophrenia is one of them.
Yeah. Well, they put labels on all sorts of mental health now. Back then, it was it wasn't labelled, was it? A lot of them, like
just like, they're in the nut house, leave them alone. Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah.
She only got a diagnosis when I was 11. Like she was finally admitted for the longest stretch, which was 18 years.
Wow.
She was in the local hospital, and then she was moved to a long-term place.
It's a long time, isn't it?
So she was only diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic when she was 40.
Right.
Really?
It was clinical depression before that, like bipolar. They couldn't coin
They
it.
just kept her in and in. That's mad. I know we've spoken about this before, but for the viewer, I just find that's mad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, she was just too much of a danger for herself. And before she actually went into the facility, this is where the stuff comes from, really. It's not so much going into the institutions themselves. That creates a separation for me, going to school and being like, everyone's got their mum and their dad, or their mum or their dad, and then their grandparents. And I'm with my grandparents, and every night after school, I'm going to see my mum in this facility. I can't watch EastEnders, like...
No.
Every night you used to go?
Every night, and then it turned into every other night.
Okay.
And I didn't really have much of a choice.
Right. It's mad that, isn't it? And what you took out of it is, I'm trying to watch EastEnders here.
Yeah.
Mad, isn't it? The funny little things you remember.
Yeah.
And look, it must have been so tough, Mari, yeah? Like, from the outside looking in, I come from like a right tight family unit, right? I can't imagine what's going through your head as a youngster when you haven't got that stability. I mean, thank God for your nan and granddad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Thank God for them.
Yeah.
Because that must have been tough. Like, this is what I try to explain to people, about this stuff. Like, me and you are in the same fellowship, similar clean time. We're on the same path, and we've come from completely different places, right? And it's part of the reason why I really wanted to get you on here, because our upbringings couldn't have been more different.
Yeah.
But we ended up in exactly the same place. So, I've got a lot of empathy for you. I've got young kids, and I look, and it's like everything I'm doing is trying to make them cared for, stable, nurtured, looked after, right? And judging by what you've just said, like a little bit about your mum, I'm sure she was not trying to put you in a position where you weren't nurtured for and looked after. She just obviously didn't have the tools to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I feel for you, mate. I really feel for you. It must have been tough.
Yeah.
So how was school moving into like your teens and that sort of stuff? Is you feeling different? Because I know I was, Go on, talk us through that.
Oh, I used to exploit it.
Yeah.
Used to exploit it so
Turning the
bad.
manipulation on.
Used to victimise myself so bad.
Yeah.
Because I was also told that my dad was dead till I was about 13. Because of my mum's illness, she played my grandparents and my dad off on each other. So there was this idea that he was a really awful person, and I know him now. I've got a relationship with him.
Yeah, we'll come on to that story in a bit, but yeah, that's cool.
So I used to really victimise myself, and I was known. Like, everyone used to say to me, "Oh, I bet you get spoiled." And I was like, "No, Jesus Christ."
Yeah.
But so I learned how to emotionally manipulate.
Yeah.
Really easily, and it used to work.
Yeah.
So moving into, like, say, high school, secondary, primary, I was quite sheltered. I wasn't really allowed to do anything. I used to try and, like, get attention from. I used to stuff my bra.
Right.
In primary school.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't usually share that in the fellowship.
What,
but,
with like tissue?
Yeah. To the point, this is where the self-obsession comes in for me, right? Like, it was so bad. We used to go swimming in primary school, and I was so worried that people were going to know that I stuffed my bra.
See the difference,
And see the difference. So I made my nan sew a bra into my swimming costume with cotton in a sandwich bag. And the teacher used to go to me, "If you've got any underwear on underneath your swimming costume, you need to go back into the change room to take it off." And I'd be staring her right in the face. She'd be like, "Have you got any?" And I'd be, "No."
That's what Chris.
Yeah.
You do that with your Speedos on the beach.
I do it all the time, yeah. I get a sock, put it in a sandwich bag and tuck it down my Speedos. Got to bulk it out a little bit, you know what I mean?
Need a banana holder.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, this lady's looking at you, knowing full well
I'm lying.
you're lying, and you're like, "No,
Yeah.
that's me." Not with bras and stuff, but that's me. I was explaining it on a previous episode. Like, I will lie to your face.
Yeah.
I'll help you look for the thing that I've stolen. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm a child. My boy tries to tell me a lie. I know he's lying.
Yeah.
They knew we were lying, but it's like, no, not got anything on.
Yeah.
I relate.
Yeah.
I relate.
My experience around school is people pleasing and jumping from one group to another just to try and fit in, filling that hole in the soul we talk about all the time, Chrissy, don't we, on the podcast? And was that? Could you feel that at that point, the hole in the soul? Yeah.
I always wanted acceptance from. If I was to be able to go back now, I wouldn't want acceptance from those people.
No.
Like, I probably didn't really even like them, but because I wanted to fit in with them, that's what I've chased all my life. Acceptance. I want to fit in. I want you to like me. I'll tell you whatever you want.
Yeah.
Give my identity away.
Yeah.
To people I don't even know if I want to be involved with. Like, that's where it started.
I was at a meeting last night, and there's a topic meeting, and the topic was the gifts of recovery, right? Yeah. One of the big ones for me was feeling comfortable in my own skin. And I'd love to have, my path and my journey is my journey, but like a message for Max when he was 15, like it would be like, it's okay to be yourself, do you know what I mean? And like the stuff that you like, you don't have to put this mask. I say 15, my message to Max when I was 30, going up in the city, you know what I mean, walking around like, with this bravado and this, because it wasn't me. And it was that one of the main massive gifts that I've had. Another one I said was trust, like my wife trusted me, all that sort of stuff. That's another huge one for me. But yeah, feeling comfortable in my own skin, because that just crippled me for years, Chris. Do you know what I mean? It was like, yeah, I just didn't know who I was, what I liked, and it's coming in this 5 years. It's not even the 5 years. It's probably been the last 2 years, really. Yeah. It's okay. Like, I was talking to someone today in work, and it was like, even 2 years ago up in the city, if I was sitting around a table with loads of brokers and they're saying, well, why aren't you drinking? I'll be saying, because I'm driving, right? I wouldn't own that I'm in recovery. Yeah. I know now, I've done it recently. Like, if someone asked me, I say I'm in recovery, I've got an issue with drink and drugs. Do you know what I mean? Well, maybe not go into massive amounts of detail, but because I'm comfortable with it. I'm proud, I'm proud that I'm an addict, right?
Someone asked me the other day at a wedding, it was like, why don't you drink alcohol? I was like, because I'm a bad gearhead.
Yeah.
Just like make a joke of it. You know what I mean? She was laughing. I'm like, I'll have a virgin mojito, please. You know what I mean? She's like, why? Still, some people just like, what?
Yeah.
You don't drink? Like, no.
You get
drink.
2 different reactions, don't you? Some people are like, oh, well done.
Yeah, good for you.
Like,
Yeah.
right.
What?
Who is this alien?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Right, where are we at?
Seeking approval, stuffing your bra.
You ain't touched a drop of booze yet, I'm assuming.
No.
Maybe a little bit of Lambrusco with my nan at Christmas, or a little bit of Bailey's.
Like. Yeah, a little
Cherry
Bucks fizz.
Lambrini. I used to get weighed off on that.
I did. Like, Smirnoff Ice was the first thing I ever got pissed on.
We used to go down the park, get the guy with like the half tash to go into the off licence. Get about 8 bottles of Cherry Lambrini. The geezer behind the counter must be like, who is this guy?
Cherry Lambrini. I'm glad I never tried that.
Oh, it was all right, you know. It was like in that Alco Pop stage. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Bacardi Breezers and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, watermelon breezes were good.
Yeah.
I used to love all that.
Go on. So when did you first find booze, I suppose? Was that your gateway drug?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I got in a relationship.
Yep.
All my substances came in through relationships, all of them. So I got in a relationship when I was 14, someone who was 20.
Right.
I spent a lot of time with him and his family, and they always had friends round. They're a lovely family.
Yep.
They always had friends round. So, I mean, it started with like going around my friends, having a party and having a drink, and not telling my nan, and going home and all that stuff. Like, secretly I can play it off, like learn how to hide that you're drunk, all that stuff.
And that older guy, was that approval? Was that fixing you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I reckon you probably got more than just a relationship out of that, though, Mari. Like you said, you spent a lot of time with his family.
Yeah.
So it's like you sort of integrated into that. It's probably what you'd been craving.
Yeah. His sister helped me to cook and to bake. The only reason I can cook a decent meal is because of the time I spent there. Like, my makeup skills, like my character, there's a lot that got built there. Yeah. Because that's a large part of your development those years, isn't it? Your personality, your character. But yeah, so alcohol really started getting bad for me.
When you're with this chap, yeah?
When I'm with him, yeah. And I hadn't ever got drunk previously to be in this relationship with him. I wouldn't say alcohol was that bad. It was all fun, you know how it starts. That teenage stuff.
Yeah. Cherry Lambrini.
Or Captain Jack's.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we was all having a drink round there, and I'd been brought up so strict.
Yep.
Like, very sheltered. Like, you don't do drugs, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't do nothing. Like, everyone used to say to me, "Oh, you're gonna have such a good head on your shoulders when you're older," like all that stuff. And so I was like, bear in mind, when I got with this guy, he was like borderline alcoholic. He used to hang around the town at skate park, like drinking all day, like no job, nothing.
Right.
And he smoked weed, and I was trying to convince him to stop. Because this is where my stuff comes in as well. Like, where the relationship with mummy is, I'm like, maybe if I do enough, they'll just change for me.
Yep.
It'll be better.
Yep.
You know, and that was the same. It filtered into my first relationship, my first romantic relationship. And I was like, I just wanted him to give it up, you know, and he wouldn't.
The weed, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, if you can't beat him, join him.
Yeah.
And I remember smoking it for the first time and I was like, don't feel anything. And then however many weeks later, I'm smoking it every time I'm around there, and then can't deal with my life if I don't have a joint.
Yeah. I can relate to that as well.
Yeah, I never smoked weed, but you were right on it, weren't you?
Yeah, I loved it. Like, best way I can explain it, right? So I spent quite a lot of time in Australia. I mentioned it on the last episode when we had Kent on. And I got myself in a couple of situations like where we didn't really have much. We was living in like digs.
Yeah.
And the best way I can explain it is it didn't matter where I was or what I was doing. If I had a bag of weed, I felt safe and secure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like a safety blanket for me. It was like I could be in the biggest shit however.
Yeah.
If I got a big bag of weed, I'm content.
You felt all right.
As long as I got money for food and weed, a lot of food, because I was smoking so much weed, I was okay. It was a real sense of ease and comfort come from smoking weed. But then with that, it's like a passion killer. You know what I mean? It's like an ambition killer.
Yeah.
But that's what it was for me. I know some people can function on it. I've got a mate, not an addict, smokes weed every day. He is highly functional. He does not miss an appointment. Great dad, smokes weed every day, right? Each to their own. For me, it was like I will come up with the best ideas and I have got no follow through because I'm too stoned.
I know a lot of people, Chrissy, that it's ripped them in half, though, that drug.
Yeah.
It's like, because it's sort of socially accepted, festivals, fucking chilling out, all that sort of stuff.
Hippies.
It's sort of like, it's not frowned upon like cocaine or all the other drugs. It's sort of, I know booze is accepted as well, but it's not quite as accepted as booze, but I know some people have really twisted them up and mentally as well.
I'll come up with all the best ideas. I'll make a plan to do something. I'm like, wow, what a great idea. And even like people who are not smoking are like, yeah, man, that sounds fucking bang on. But then I'm like, I can't do it because it takes action. Right? And it used to kill, like, I would stay up late smoking weed. And then what it used to do for me, I used to think it was going to send me to sleep. It didn't send me to sleep. What it did was made it so that I couldn't wake up.
Right.
Yeah. And then it's like groggy, hangover, chasing the day constantly, and then up late smoking weed the next day. The amount of things in my life that I messed up because I didn't wake up in the morning because I got stoned the night before.
Really?
Oh, the list is huge.
Right.
Huge. But I couldn't see that. And I'm like, oh, never mind, just go and have a joint. Forget about it. You know what I mean? That's how it went. What it was for me as well was a stopgap in between the drug that I really wanted.
Yeah. Remember you saying that?
Yeah, I would smoke weed all week to get me to the weekend so I could get on the gear. And then in the end, it was just I had enough. Well, I say I had enough money. I had enough sort of means and ways to get more to just use the drug I really wanted to use every day.
Yeah, so the weed fell by the wayside.
Fell by the wayside because I got connected enough to get the cocaine.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so go on then. Gateway. You're smoking puff every day now.
Yeah.
How old
like
are you now?
A buffer. College age.
Okay. 17, 18.
16, 17.
Yeah.
Agoraphobia kicked in.
The what?
Didn't want to go out.
Right, okay.
I'd like get up, I'd open the door, full plans to go to college,
Yeah.
feel the wind on my face.
Paranoid. Yeah.
Really?
Can't do it. Yeah.
Back inside.
Yeah. I left my college course.
Yeah. Kent was on here the other week and he said, like, his heart would be thumping in his chest because he's done too much Charlie. And his best thinking was to do another line of Charlie. And I bet when you shut that door, your best thinking was to spark up a joint.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Have
mean?
another spliff, yeah.
Yeah. Mental.
Because it buffers it.
Yeah.
It makes it all right.
Yeah.
It pushes the problem till it just makes it easier to handle. Like, oh, I'm just going to.
But it's not true. It's an illusion.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it easier to handle. It just compounds the problem over the long run. In the near, it's like, oh, brilliant, you calm down a little bit. But then when you open the door again and it's worse the next day, the next day. And that's the way it was with me, like completely different. I was never scared of going out, but like I just mentioned, it's just killed so many opportunities for me.
It just goes
it's a
to
dangerous
show,
drug for some people.
It just goes to show that it stopped working for me
Yeah.
really quickly.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't do what it does for people that can do it.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make a difference. Like, I had an allergic reaction.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, and it didn't even... I didn't even think that might have been a problem.
No.
You know, and I come out of my college course, I was doing business.
Yep.
And because I wanted my granddad to say, I'm proud of you.
Approval again.
Come out, went back the next year. I'd got into another relationship at this point.
Okay.
That was really messy.
Yep.
You know, and this is one of my... I didn't know if I was going to talk about this or not, but you know, it's okay to learn from this stuff. So I was like 19, and the guy that I was with, I was still with the guy that I got with early on. And we used to go around his mate that lives up the road.
Yep.
And I ended up seeing him behind his back.
Yep.
So these are friends for years.
Yep.
And he had a girlfriend at the time. We got found out. And I said, yeah, I'm going to stop seeing him. I didn't stop seeing him. Ended up breaking up with that other guy and getting with this guy.
Chasing that, changing the way you feel constantly. Yeah.
Because he drove, he
a little
worked
upgrade.
a good job. Yeah, he smoked more weed.
Yeah, he had the better drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little upgrade.
But there was a part of me that was
geezer.
like, I think I had convinced myself that he didn't smoke as much.
Right. Okay.
Because I remember thinking, maybe it doesn't hold him. Like, he's got ambition still. Like, maybe I'll learn something from him. Give it a year later. Don't even know if it was a year. I was pretty much living with him in his mum's house with his two little brothers. And I thought he was cheating on me.
Right.
And he wasn't. He was picking up sniff.
Oh, okay. So he was technically cheating on you, just not with a girl. Yeah.
Yeah. And he wasn't at that point actually like romantically cheating on me or emotionally cheating on me with a person. But he did.
Right.
At some point. And like, so not the point anyway, I've gone on track, but
So this was when Class A sort of coming around for you then, yeah?
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know really. I was quite naive to it because I'd never really been around it.
Yeah.
I'd never really taken it. Didn't really know what to look out for.
Yeah. Well, it's a different type of drug in it initially. Like the weed is stay indoors for a lot of people. Coke for me was party drug, really. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing for me. Like, see, with weed, it's like you needed somewhere to be. You had to have all the different paraphernalia. It takes a long time to get it in you. Once you've got it in you, you smell of it.
Yeah.
Gear is just like little in your pocket, bang, 2 seconds, it's in you.
Yeah.
It's a lot more efficient.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You need tools for weed, didn't you?
You do, mate. You need like a little bag to put your bits in.
Yeah.
And it's like your eyes go and you smell of it. You need mouthwash. You need eye drops. You need, you know what I mean? And that stuff still doesn't work, but I would make sure I had it with me because I was very secretive about my whole operation.
Little toolkit.
That's why I love the cocaine so much because it's just like, bang, done.
Yeah.
I would add it down to like, I was like a robot opening that bag, getting the thing back in my pocket.
Yeah.
Like a Formula One pit stop, mate. You know what I mean? Down to a T. Really efficient with it. And
Becomes ritualistic, doesn't it?
There you go. And that was part of the reason why I loved that drug so much. It was that I wasn't one of these people that my jaw would start going. I could keep a straight face. After a little while, you'd notice. But that's why I liked it so much because I'm really secretive about everything. Like when I'm in active addiction, I'm so sneaky. It's like, I don't know what. I just feel like it gives me some sort of power. You know what I mean? When I do it. So I completely agree. Like you said, it's it was just efficient. Gets me to where I want to be really quickly.
So started using heavy?
I wouldn't say heavy, not then. I think the first time I used it was on New Year's Eve and I hadn't yet moved into my flat. It was at his mum's house, and this is where I'm like, what were you doing? So he had 3 kids.
Right.
They were at his mum's, and he had gone round his mates that he always used to use with for New Year's Eve, and he was like, "Oh, I'll only be round there for a minute."
Yep.
Gone like countdown. I'm still waiting. Like, we had planned for me to use it and try it.
Yeah.
For the exact same situation. He wouldn't stop doing it.
No.
Can't beat them, join them. Yeah.
Yeah. And
God,
it
I've
makes
done
me
that so
really
many
sad.
times though, mate. Like, I'm only popping out for an hour, and it's just,
Yeah.
that was my story down to a T. Do you know what I mean? It was, I'll be back at 11, and it's just, I don't know. When you're on that drug, just time fucking flies.
Yeah.
I used to
it does.
find it was like, and suddenly it's 3 a.m, and
Birds
like,
are tweeting.
it's game over. It's
Yeah.
like again, I'd be sitting
Fucked
like
it again.
Yeah. How did I get here again? Like crying. Like, what am I doing? You know
Yeah,
what I
but you
mean?
can't go home.
Can't go home. No. And then do you know that feeling in your head where you know the next 2 days are completely written off?
Yeah.
Like, and you might have had something planned, and it was just like,
I know, it's so painful, isn't it?
that just horrible feeling that you genuinely didn't want to do that. Like, early on, my mates and my whatever girlfriend, wife, whoever, they used to genuinely think that I was just doing it on purpose. Like, I had that plan. I was never going to come home at 11 o'clock. It was always going to be 5 a.m. Do you know what I mean? And it just wasn't. That wasn't the plan.
No.
I might have been going out with my dad for a few beers down the whatever it was, the pub, and with all. And then he'd go home at 11 o'clock, and I'd be doing like sneaky messages. Who's out? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't go home.
No. When it's in me, even the booze, once it was in me, allergic reaction just gone. And I just that's one of those feelings that I don't know. It will never leave me. That feeling like that painful position to be using, even though you don't want to be doing it.
It was good to remember that stuff, Max, because it keeps you on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you can remember not just the situations, if you can remember the feelings associated with it, and that shame and guilt, and I fucking let them down again. I have to hold on to this. Part of the reason why I work with new people, because they're going through it, and I see it, and I'm like, oh, fuck that, mate. I ain't going back there.
Yeah.
What have I got to do to not do that? Meetings, step work, regular steps. Okay, no problem. I'll do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So look, you eventually obviously used it. And what, was it a bit of a spiral from that point?
I went to work the next day.
Right.
And I don't know how I did it. Because it was like after that point, after that first night of doing it, And I remember saying that night, I don't feel like it's done anything. Should we get some more?
Yeah.
Like, that was it, right there. It's not done anything. Should we get some more? And then it was every weekend. And then it was during the week. And then we moved into the flat. And I don't think I paid rent for, like... I moved out just before my 20th birthday, I think, and into that flat. And it goes to show he was working full-time. He used to... he's in, like, construction trade.
Yep.
So he used to earn a little bit. I furnished my flat with 300 quid.
Right.
It's industrious. I don't know how you pulled that off.
I don't know.
Yeah, we do make moves though, don't we?
Because, and I never paid the rent for, like, until I come into recovery.
Really? Wow.
Or unless I was receiving benefits, like eviction notices, like liability of council tax, like not shut. I can't remember what I was working as. I was working in a care home at the time, and I used to do handover at 8 o'clock in the morning, like.
Not been asleep. Yeah.
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 You know, and I've always been really slim.
I was going to say,
Always
how's
been
your
really
health at
slim.
this point? You must be
Yeah.
deteriorating, right? Yeah. Because when you first rocked up to the meeting,
Yeah, I've seen photos of you, Murray.
you were
Looking
so
real
skinny, weren't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
What'd you say? What's your phrase for it?
5 stone dripping wet.
5 stone dripping wet.
dripping
It weren't far off.
I was 5 stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not big, are you? But it's
When I was at the pub, I was about 5.5. I think the biggest I got up to was 5.5.
Yeah, you showed me a photo. You were singing on the karaoke or something, and you got a pair of leggings on, and they're like loose.
yeah.
And they're supposed to be tight. You know what I mean? Yeah, I see that pic.
Yeah, you're a good mate of mine, but it was one of those, when you walked in, it was one of those like, wow.
Yeah.
People didn't, I've been told, like, people that first saw me when I come around, they didn't just think it was cocaine for me.
Yeah.
They didn't just think it was cocaine.
No, but you don't eat. Like, I never used to eat, really. Like, I remember, once you're on it, it's not, you ain't eating, are you?
No.
No.
My pals used to be like, should we go out for dinner first? I'm like, why? No.
Now imagine doing, like, a care job, like,
Yeah.
a 10, 12-hour shift.
Yeah, that
After
just
like a
sounds horrific.
72-hour binge, like nothing in your system, you can't eat nothing, even on the come down, like 7 hours later, because the roof of your mouth's hurting so.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that pain. Do you used to get that? Roof of your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember the nurse saying, or one of my colleagues saying, standing there, hand over, like pinging. One of the nurses saying to me, "Mari, are you okay?" And I was like. Everything inside me was like,
Tell her.
no.
Yeah.
No, but you can't. Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, of course you are. I knew you was going to say that. Of course you were fine. Yeah.
Like, all of my insides are like, you need to do something. Like, I knew within 6 months of using for the first time that it was going to ruin my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that as well. I knew it as well.
Immediately, like, it never done for me what my ex said it was going to do. Like, he sold it to me like, oh, it makes you like you have the best sex on it, like, and like, what I found for me was it felt like our therapy because the relationship was toxic.
Brought
I
you
felt
together.
like it was given up. We'd have these conversations that would never stick, like, and just the stuff that we'd get up to, like, not like, obviously seedy stuff happens with that stuff.
Yeah.
But just how neurotic I would get. Like, eventually I started using it to be able to do the housework in one night. Like, and do anything that I needed to do because I didn't have the capacity to do anything that I liked doing without having it in my system. Because it made me focus. It enabled me to do what I couldn't do without it.
Yeah.
You felt like you couldn't do without it.
Yeah.
I'm exactly the same.
And
it's exactly how I used to use. Let's get one in, we'll have a tidy up.
yeah.
So what that about? Oh, we're going to paint that.
Or build a new bed.
I'll be like, $2,000 job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how I used to use it.
Yeah.
I really did. And that stuff you were saying, about, like with the physical stuff, and it gets, like you said, gets CD and you do things and you think it's good. You can't feel it, first of all. And them conversations you were having, that wasn't you talking to him. No. That was cocaine talking to cocaine.
Yeah.
That's what it was like. I would promise my missus the world. Yeah. Like I said, coming up with great ideas. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I had no follow through because the drugs had me by the balls. And it was like, the drugs would be like, well, you think you're going to do that? No, you're not, mate. I've got you. You do what I want you to do. And what I want you to do is isolate in a room on your own and use me as much as you can. And that's how my life went. I had the best ideas and I had every intention on following them through. But while I was using, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. So you must be coming to the end of your using now.
Really?
Early 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I changed job.
Right.
I come out of care. I went into a different care job. Same stuff, just for a longer period of time. Went into a bar job in a club and a pub. And
good place for practicing addicts.
I thrived.
Yeah.
I say I thrived. The disease thrived.
Yeah.
Any defect of character, you name it, it was active.
Yeah.
Loads of attention.
Yeah. And
Free booze.
I started to get a little bit of acceptance without even wanting it, because at this point I was so isolated into this relationship. Like, there was abuse in the relationship, like sexual abuse, physical abuse hadn't come up yet. But by Christmas it had. Like, I was being pushed around his mum's living room. And everyone at work had kept saying to me, "You think you should leave? I think you should leave." And I finally got to a point where I was like, "Yeah, okay." Christmas pushed me past the edge when he started getting physical.
Yep.
And I was like, "I've had enough," because I'd got a little bit of acceptance. I realised that how it had gotten, wasn't normal.
Okay.
I'd reduced my life to such a small size; it was just alien.
Yeah.
I was alienated from normal people. I'd stopped seeing my family, like all that stuff. The only time I go see him was for money. I actually, one of my colleagues, I started dating, so I come out of that relationship. He was a beautiful guy, and he set the standard really high for me, and I sabotaged it.
Right.
Because I like to stay in pain that's familiar.
Yeah, of course.
And it was unfamiliar being treated how he was treating me, and
yeah, being treated nice. Yeah, wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wasn't showing up for work after I'd sabotaged his relationship. Had my boss knocking on my door every other day, and it got to the point I'd had a suicide attempt as well starting this job. Ended up in the same mental health unit my mum was in, and had the staff say to me, like, "Are you following your mum's footsteps?"
Yeah.
I was like, "I just need help."
Yeah.
And used it to victimise myself. And
Yeah, but you started getting honest, saying you needed help.
Yeah. And then my sister, and I'd done a round of treatment to, not like treatment centre rehab, but drug and alcohol services that didn't work for me. And she kept saying to me, "Why don't you try this meeting or this fellowship or this fellowship?" And I was like, no. And I'd gotten to the point where I was that barmaid that would go home with people after a shift, because I just had no self-respect. I'd completely lost my identity. I'd given it away to too many people.
Yep.
The drugs. And I was suicidal again. Like, I tried reaching out for the mental health mental health services. I'd tried going to the doctors. I'd tried my drinking had amped up to a point where I was just drinking myself stupid at home by myself.
This is just before your sister tried to commit suicide, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It probably amped up a lot more once she tried to.
Yeah.
Sense of guilt around that as well, Mari, because you felt like you weren't there for her. Like, if your phone was working, you could have maybe seen the calls.
Yeah.
If your screen weren't cracked, you could have replied to the texts.
Yeah.
But like you said, you weren't in any position to be offering help anyway. You know what I mean? So from where I'm sitting, I wouldn't feel too guilty about that at the time. You know what I mean? Because you was in just as much pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that moment you walked into that meeting. Honeypot Lane, Wednesday night, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the woman who had been saying to me all this time, "Go to a meeting," I had enough guilt and shame inside of me that I said yes on that appointment that day. And that was a Wednesday. On the Wednesday,
So you went to the drug services?
I'd had that appointment with her that morning.
Right.
And she gave me a list. She slid it across the table, and I was like, "I do not want to say, 'My name is Mari.'"
Yeah. Blank.
Yeah.
Like,
Couldn't say it.
I did. I said it.
Right.
Yeah. Just for the people out there, you don't have to say it. But eventually you will say it.
Yeah.
Because you know it's true. I took someone to a meeting and I was like, "Hi, just his name." And I was like, "Come on."
Yeah.
And then the following week, just his name. And then the week after, He said his name, and I'm an addict.
Yeah.
Took him a couple of meetings to get it out.
Yeah.
But it was freeing once he did.
Yeah.
So go on, then you got to the meeting.
So I got to
Reluctantly.
The meeting. Yeah. I don't know how I walked into that church. But I did. And Max was making teas and coffees.
Good cup of tea.
I remember you had to
didn't
walk
even
through
have
the
one.
kitchen to get into the room.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't walk in that way.
Oh, you coming through the...
So everyone
Yeah.
used to come through the kitchen from the back door. I walked in the front entrance because I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, of course you don't know where it is
The
yet.
back- Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't walk in
NA,
through.
we always come in through the
I
back
think you're
door.
quite late as well, weren't you?
I think I was just on the cusp of making
Yeah.
a meeting.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this, and he was like, yeah, just through there. I remember I had a bottle of Lucasade. I was wearing a green jumper and I had my fake
That's it, green
TN
jumper, I remember that.
trainers on that were covered in beer from working behind the bar. And, oh, God.
Great little meeting, that.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I remember you bowling there with your mum at that meeting.
Yeah. Giving it the big and Murray. Out my nut I was, pretending I weren't.
Yeah. No, it was
Are you
great.
using the toilet?
I did so much of my early recovery there and service.
Yeah, it was a great little meeting, that.
Yeah.
Great meeting.
Sorry, we keep interrupting you. Keep going.
All right.
So you walked in, moody TNs, green jumper,
Yeah.
broken.
Yeah. Not listening, but hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't really in a position to hear what I needed to hear, I guess. It didn't really sink in for me. I heard a guy share who'd been in institutions, who had been in jail. He was a man. That's a big difference for me. But I heard what I suffered with. All my life I've asked myself, why am I like this?
Yeah.
Why can I not stop doing this? In that meeting, whether I think I heard it or not, I heard, that's why I'm like this.
Yeah, nice.
And it smashed me out my denial. I had a month where I weren't taking it seriously. I was doing one meeting a week, and I ended up suicidal.
Still using.
Still using. And this woman, I still had no phone, and this woman had given me a number at a meeting, and she said to me, I was at a point where I'd already had one suicide attempt. And I knew that the next time that I'd done it, I would be successful.
Yeah.
And I was at that point.
Very nice.
Yeah. And I don't know what made me pick up the phone, but something did.
Okay.
And I called her, and she listened to me talk so much, like
It needs to happen, doesn't it? It needs
on
to
the
come
back
out.
of a come down, like
Yeah.
crying down the phone to her. Because if I didn't, I was going to take myself off the arterial road and I was going to jump.
Yeah.
And she said, you know what, Murray, just don't pick up again. And I didn't
From that day on.
from that day on.
Awesome.
Love
so,
it.
And you turned 4 years in Feb.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So 20th, I can't even remember it now, 23rd of February 2020.
I just think it's absolutely wicked that you came in and got it that young. Like, I came in at 33. You've come in 10 years before me. It's just got so much life to live, haven't we?
Yeah.
Like, there's people that come into the rooms at 50, 60, 70.
I
Like,
still can't get it.
yeah, and it's like, I feel honoured to have got it just for today when I was 33, man, because, like, my kids don't have to see me use.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
I was actually just adding them numbers up as well, because I come in at 32. So it's like, I was thinking, think of all the fucking carnage I caused in that 10 years between when you come in and when I come in, like that age difference.
Yeah.
And I was like, was the majority of it. I was still half having a laugh when I was the age you were when you come in.
Yeah.
And I use you as an example, actually, because I've got a young sponsee who's 22. He's like, I think it's a bit early. And I'm like, no, don't worry about that. Mari done it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I did think my life was over.
Yeah.
So did I. Say it all the time.
The fun stops, yeah?
How far from the truth is that, Mari? It begun,
I've
right?
lived more in the 4 years I've been clean
Yeah.
than I ever did.
Yeah. I mean, I say it all the time. It's the truth. But in my twisted thinking, I'm like, it's over. Life's over. And it could not be further from the truth.
Yeah.
Life began.
So for the newcomer listening, what did you do when you come in? Because they love this sort of information. Like, how did you? We get that you've come in and we get now you're 4 years clean, but how? How did you do it?
I got a sponsor.
Yep.
Well, I got a sponsor. It didn't work out.
Which is okay.
If it's not working, it's not working. I found another one.
Yeah.
You know, I relied on my support network. Lockdown happened when I was 30 days in, so I
Jesus
went
Christ.
over.
Which again is mad.
I went over to Zoom.
What do they say? Clean on the screen.
Yeah. So I picked up service. I started a 90-90.
Yep.
90-90 on Zoom.
Yeah.
You know what? I was so grateful. I did my 90-90 on Zoom. I was so grateful for it. You know what was a trigger for me when I first get clean? Leaving the house. Like, the fact that I could stay in and still get a meeting was huge for me. I don't know if it would have worked, because when I come out of treatment, it was lockdown, the second lockdown. I don't know if I would have stayed clean if I was left out to my own devices.
I think that's partly what helped me.
Yeah.
And it's strange because I still live in the flat that I used in, and my neighbour was my dealer.
Oh, shit. I had one of them, moved into a flat.
Yeah.
Geezer sold gear, lives underneath me. I was like, oh, no. Here we go again.
And I think something just clicked for me. Like, the programme just sunk in, you know. And I spent a lot of time with this woman who was sponsoring me at the time. I stayed connected, you know, I got honest.
Yeah.
I didn't open my mouth in a meeting until Zoom happened. And I started taking it seriously because I realised that the only thing that's left for me, you know, like, take away the external consequences. It was the internal consequences that got enough for me to finally listen and do whatever I was told to do, because what you have done has worked. What I am doing isn't working.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. I need you to tell me. Like,
Murray, that's it in a nutshell.
That's it.
Nothing external is going to change it. It has to be internal.
yeah,
Luckily for you, it happened really young.
yeah.
You still had your whole life to live. That is the whole point of it. Anything external, it does not matter. Kids, divorce, people dying, it doesn't matter. When it's painful enough inside, we're self-centered, right? When it gets bad enough for us, then we'll change.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it meant
that's
changing everything as well. I quit my job. Like, the friends that I'd made, like, they weren't my friends anymore. Like,
Yeah, you were all over at the start, meeting service, like every single online meeting I went to, you were there. And then when lockdown ended, like, we used to just buzz around in the car just trying to hit as many meetings as we can. I remember it. It was
she stepped up big time, didn't she?
Yeah, it was.
Got that Monday night meeting back up and running.
That's it. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because I think I'll talk about it. So there was not a Monday night meeting, was there? I think we're just coming out of lockdown, weren't we? And in Basildon, Langdon, Salvation Army, was crying out for a meeting. Mari found the venue, set the meeting up, got all the literature, and that meeting now is about 30, 40 people strong on a weekly basis. Like, it's wicked.
I feel like at one point, that was probably the best meeting in Essex.
It was, yeah.
It was up to like 50, 60 bods at one point.
Mad. It was wicked. It really was. And
great room, nice kitchen. I made the teas there for 18 months.
Yeah.
You were secretary, handed it over to Max.
Yeah.
I was there. It was such a good meeting. I mean, I can't make it to a Monday night meeting anymore because of other commitments. But that was your baby.
Yes, you've gone in.
It's really hard for me to.
But Maury, you come from coming in 5 stone ringing wet, like you said, to setting up a meeting and helping 40 people on a weekly basis. It's weird. Like, but that's sort of those big stuff. They sort of pass me by when I do that. Do you know what I mean? I've struggled to see myself, the change in myself, and it's awesome. I know you help. You're on the convention, the Essex Convention Committee. You do loads of service. You help loads of women. Do you know what I mean? We ain't going to go into all of that, but what we're trying to say is, we talk about steps 1, 2, and 3. Like, we came in, we were powerless, we were battered, we were broken, unmanageable to the core. Step 2, we find a little bit of hope. Is there a glimmer of light? Yes, there is. Step 3 is all about faith. This program works. However, faith is redundant without action, right? Do you know what I mean? You can have all the faith in the program in the world. If you don't follow up with action, it's pointless. Yeah. And I think you're a prime example of that. You add that faith, this stuff works. But we can't sit and do nothing. No. I mean, I'm still at 5 years clean, totally smashing recovery to bits because I know I need to.
I've recently just had to resurrender.
Yeah.
Because I took my foot off the gas. I got a bit comfortable. I just got engaged.
Yep.
Just
congratulations.
full time. Thank you.
Let's see it. Nice.
But
Engaged
it says
to
in
the
that
guy.
it says in step 3, once we get we need to be extra vigilant when life is good, because we're like, I see so many people come in, they're battered, they get 6 months clean, they start looking fresh. Do you know what I mean? New trainers, new tracksuit, and then you don't see them for 6 months because the action goes.
They think they're fixed.
Yeah, they've got the faith, the program works, but the action just goes.
Yeah, and they've got no intention of giving back what was freely given to them.
Yeah.
That's why I stay around as well. Who's going to be there for the new guy? If you get what you want and leave.
Yep.
What's Paula call them? Recovery thieves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Come in, get what you want, see you later. Like, that's not good for me.
No.
I just think at the end of the day, doing this stuff is what's given me the skills that I've got.
Yep.
Like sharing at a meeting enabled me to have the confidence, or taking a meeting enabled me to have the confidence to speak freely, so that when my sister did pass, I was able to give a eulogy.
Yep.
Like, I was able to go into a funeral directors and say, this is how I would like it to go, this is what she liked. And when I was writing a personal statement for uni, I knew what my assets were. I knew how to sell myself.
Yep.
I knew how to speak confidently, like to have my voice. And now in situations, I'm able to...
Commitment as well, Mari, right?
Yeah.
Turning up.
Show up.
Sticking to it.
Yeah.
Dedication. How many times have we mentioned this?
Yep.
The skills we learn in NA directly correlate to the skills you need to live life.
And we don't even know we're learning them. That's the thing at the time.
Yeah, it's like wax on, wax off. Mr. Miyagi, like, you're like, oh, I know that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this subconscious lessons we get taught in recovery, and then you're 4 years clean, and suddenly you're confident, you can talk to people, you're honest with money, like, and then you wind, how have I got to that? And it's all down to service and being in meetings. It's wicked, man. And I always say, the little bonus that we get is we don't have to fill ourselves with drugs and booze anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of that wanting to use just goes. Do you know what I mean? We don't even, I don't know when mine went, but it just goes. Look, you mentioned your sister. Do you mind if you talk about that a little bit?
I don't mind.
I was just going to mention the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Because this is one of them things that I saw in recovery that I've seen from a couple of other people as well. And it's just like, you can get through anything and stay clean. And that was one of them moments when I saw you in that pain and you walked through it with your fellows wrapped around you, and you moved past that just terrible grief and a situation that no one should have to go through. No. And you faced it head on and you got through it and you stayed clean. So, like, I'll take my hat off to you. That was a real good piece of work in the program. Now I saw you work your program around that and move through it. So well done for that, Mari.
Thank you.
Because it gives me hope.
Yeah.
Gives me hope.
Yeah. I obviously I think I was free 2 years.
Yeah.
I was 2 years in. And I parented her. So it sounds so odd to say, but I was the only one in my family who really had any contact with her. So I took on sort of like a maternal role with her.
Yep.
I was always running up and down, like mental health runs in my family, obviously.
She suffered with mental health, didn't she?
Yeah, massively. Gender I can't remember what it's called. She transitioned.
Right.
And then she transitioned back.
Right.
And it was difficult. It's not just the first attempt, like I mentioned earlier. And I was in college when I got the phone call. And it's really strange because I woke up with a really bad feeling, and I was in therapy at the time because I've got my own mental health issues alongside addiction. And I was in therapy at the time, and I'd had a therapy session the day before, and I was in this, what I'd call a situationship at the time. And I'd actually called it off with him that morning because I thought that it was because of my session the day before I realised that I was in the wrong situation, because that's what recovery's gifted me, a voice to know that when something's wrong for me, I shouldn't be in it. Got to college and I was in class and I got a phone call from my nan. She said the Met Police have just been here. And she was like, where are you? And I was like, I'm in college. I was like, I've just come out of the classroom. She was like, can you sit down? And I was like, why? Just tell me what's wrong. And I thought she was going to tell me she was terminal or something like that.
Right.
Because she told me the police had been after her, and she said, it's Jessica. And I said, what? And she said, she's dead. And I said, it's like, what do you mean she's dead? She was like, the Metropolitan Police have just left. She's killed herself. She jumped from a building in Romford. My immediate response, I'm really good in crisis mode. You give me big stuff, I can deal with it hands on. Like, I'm used to dealing with the big stuff. You give me the ants, I can't deal with it.
Yeah, so.
You know, and that walk from the college to the bus stop, I feel like is the longest walk I've ever had. And it was at a time when Greg he'd had just not long had his accident, and he was going into town for coffee, and I called him.
Yep.
And I remember speaking to him, and I went to go see him before I went to my nan's because I was so angry because she had no information. I read more about her death on a news article than I did from any. That still gets me mad now. It's not my fault though.
No.
So I had support. First thing I done was get support because I don't deal with this stuff good.
No.
On my natural thinking, you know, that overload of grief is overwhelming.
Shout out Greg, friend of the podcast, stepping up,
Ledge,
practicing what he preaches.
You know, and I've grown a family here. Like, so I went home to my nan's. I had done all the conversations. I'll deal with everything, you know. I went and contacted the coroners. I contacted the funeral home. I had to get the green certificate because she was at the coroner's because I had to do a post-mortem and the inquest. The inquest has only just finished. And it's mental, like overload. You know, I had a friend who was like my sister, and we never would have connected without this stuff. Like, it's the most intimate relationship I've had with a woman.
Yep. I know it is, I think.
And my mum only met her daughter in a closed casket at the funeral home in the Chapel of Rest.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
And my friend, she came with me and supported me while I supported my mum. And
I've got to say though, Mario, I remember you coming into meetings either on that night or the day after. And like Chrissy said, I just saw our fellowship wrap their arms around you massively. And you were falling apart, but we held you definitely. And it was beautiful to see. And like Chris said, I've seen many people lose loved ones in recovery and just fall apart and then get held by our fellowship. And loads of other fellowships do the same, I know, but it's awful but beautiful at the same time to see that. And it gives, like you said, Chris, I know that if anything like that happens to me, those people are going to have my backs. And it's just a lovely position to be in.
Yeah, and it's just that proof that, like I said, you can get through anything.
it puts things into perspective as well.
Yeah.
Like, you really realise that there's no excuse to ever use again. Like, I never needed to use through that. It would defeat the object.
Yeah.
Like, everything that I've worked for, it would blow it all out. Like, it would make no difference. You know, it puts life into perspective. And what shocked me the most, I think, through that grief was the gratitude that I had. Like, I'd be sitting on the bus and I'd see something and I'd be like, I'm glad. Like, so I had to go and do something in Southend. I was finishing up my college course at the same time when I was planning a funeral, and it spurred me into, like, life's too short. So I was in Southend High Street, and I had to go buy a bag, and there was people like us that hadn't found recovery, like drunks that hang around in the town centre, and they were doing, like, karaoke, like, with this speaker, and there was like, come and choose a song, and I just sung in the middle of Southend High Street. Like, life's too short. Like, some of the experiences that I've had from that, like, it's tough, but you know, I'm held, and my relationships have blossomed, you know, through being that vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because I can't put a mask on that.
Of course. So what's going on today for you, Mari? How's your recovery today?
My recovery today is...
You're engaged, aren't you?
Yeah. To the guy that I dated in the pub.
The guy in the
pub. When I came
pub.
out of that toxic
The nice guy.
relationship.
Yeah, do you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
The one who set the bar high.
Yeah.
I knew that
That
was
guy.
nice sabotage.
Brilliant.
Mate, I love a rom-com as well when it's like a happy ending.
Yeah.
I love a fucking rom-com.
Nice.
I promised to stay away from him. Like I promised to myself, even still in active addiction, I promised to stay away from him.
Yeah, she got with a nice guy and got engaged.
Brilliant. Mate, that is like a proper rom-com, isn't it?
Yeah, we went for a coffee and the
Yeah.
rest was history.
But you had to go and fix yourself, right?
Yeah.
You weren't ready for that relationship.
No, and I don't think he was either, really, especially not with me.
Well, no one can be in a successful relationship with someone in active addiction. It's
No.
just impossible.
No, and I knew that I was going to continue to hurt him. Like, and if I'd have had any sort of worry that I still get imposter syndrome.
I can feel it right now.
Like, we had a conversation the other day, and it was a hard conversation because of the way that I hurt him when we dated previously. We had a conversation a little while ago, and the fact he's going to be listening to this.
Yeah, of course. What's his name?
Dan.
Shout out, Dan.
How are we doing, Dan? Don't worry, we'll look after.
And the fact that I was able to sit and listen to him while he said what he needed to say.
Yeah.
And I can provide him reassurance and have strict boundaries with men in my life. Like, all of that makes a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Him knowing that I'm able to do that and that I'm not. Do you know what I mean?
Yet another skill you've learned.
I was going to say, I've grown up more in the last 5 years than I've the whole of my life.
Yeah.
It's just I'm a completely different person. And you sitting here tonight, like even your beliefs and what you stand for, is just completely different. And this is what recovery does to us. It changes us into who we were meant to be from day one. Like addiction rob us of our true self. We get clean and we can blossom into these people that are kind and loving and generous and trustworthy. And that's it for me. That's the gold. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. And look, that's part of the reason why, and I mention this a lot, I'm grateful I am an addict. Because some people just bounce through life, never getting this opportunity. Yeah, I had to smash myself to pieces. Yeah, I had to really worry my family, and I might not have got it.
Yeah.
But I had to go through all that stuff to come out the other side and be presented with these 12 steps in this program that's allowed me to be a good person.
Yeah.
Some people don't get that opportunity.
No.
Like, we're helping so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has a knock-on effect that helps. Just like so many people's lives are affected by small gestures of service that we do. If I was an addict, I would never get that opportunity.
No.
And that's what fills me with gratitude. So
And we
it's like,
attract people as well.
yeah. Well, it
The
says
amount of
attraction rather than
people-
promotion, right?
The amount of people that freely have a conversation with me, they get vulnerable with me. It's like there's something, and I hear a lot of us that are in the fellowship, they get it as well. It's like there's something that just attracts them to us.
Yeah, I messaged you yesterday, Chris. Like, we've had 3 messages this week where people have listened to this podcast and are going to meetings this week for the first time off the back of it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's wicked, all over the country. Like, and I just wish you, if you're listening, I wish you the best of luck, and hopefully your journey is as good as mine's been. But this is why we do. That was the sole reason why we wanted to do this stuff, to get the message out there that if we can get clean, you can get clean. And yeah, it's just great to see it working, Chris. And
You'll look, the primary purpose of our fellowship, carry the message to the addict who still suffers. And the way technology's evolved, and doing a podcast is a great way of spreading a message to a wider audience than you could. But not saying that meetings are obsolete, they're not. But I'm saying, like, I'll come to the meeting, you might carry the message to 1 or 2 new people. We can hit thousands of people with this. You know what I mean? So just trying to get the word out there. Yeah. And like, it's sticking with some people. I've seen loads of people coming in off the back of this, going to meetings, staying clean, like putting their lives back together. It's beautiful to watch.
no, it's great. Love it.
Right, we're coming to the end of the time now, Mari. Thank you so much for coming in. It's really good to get your story. like we've said, you're a credit to the fellowship.
Yeah.
And
keep doing your thing.
you've done yourself proud.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You
Thanks
really
for
have.
having me.
Cool.
Where can they find us on YouTube, mate?
We are YouTube. We are Addicted to Recovery Podcast.
Instagram?
Same handle on Instagram.
Come check us out.
Yeah. Spotify, Apple Music.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel, please, guys. We need some better numbers.
We've got 20 at the moment. It's quite embarrassing, but
Yeah.
we're getting there.
Yeah. I mean, we have only got 3 videos. Hopefully, this has been the best video so far. We're learning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Not what is it? Progression, not instant faultlessness.
Yeah.
We're learning one day at a time.
Nice one.
Thanks for having us.